Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the News Behind the News with Ralph Kintav on Mix 94.7 FM. I hope that you're having a good day and a good week so far. This afternoon, I have here with me Mr. Jules Charville, Territorial Councillor from the front side. Good afternoon to you, sir, and thank you for coming on the program.
Good afternoon, Mr.
Kintav.
Contav.
Yes.
Good afternoon, Mr. Contav. Thank you very much for this invitation. And of course, good afternoon, good evening, whatever the time would be at the time of the broadcast, to the listeners and also to the viewers.
Okay, great.
Yes.
So I have seen a few of your interviews before. Never met you. Well, we did meet once in French Quarter.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm familiar with you and
Yeah.
you likewise. But, I'm glad that, we have this opportunity to have a conversation.
Sure.
For me, I always see St. Martin as one island, and I'm, of course, interested in what happens on the island on the whole. I know that elections are coming up, but also there are some things that, events that happened recently, that we can use a diverse set of opinions on and so forth.
Sure.
And having started to bring, persons in from the French side to talk about whether it's their experiences, their take on various situations, I found it fair to, of course, invite you in, that you can make use of the platform as well. So before we get into some of the hot topics, let's say, I'm curious, about yourself, and in particular, what led you into politics and how long have you been a politician?
Okay. I got introduced into politics in 1977 as a very young man. I had 23 years and a half. It was then the mayor, Dr. Hubert Petit. He was in his 18th year of mandate and elected, I think, 3 times. So it was his 4th time, going to the election, and then he wanted to bring in like a new generation of politicians. So he wanted to encourage young people into politics. And of course, I was along him, my father being one of his big supporter at the time in those days. So I used to be in his campaign from a very young age, 11, 12 years. I would follow the campaign. So I also grew up around politics and had a taste for politics from very young. But my problem back then when he asked me is that I had a few months that I began a business. I went into business very young, 1976, and so I hesitated a whole lot. And then he actually explained me that would help him, and I wanted him to be reelected. So that's where I went on the list for the first time, March 1977. And of course, in those days, there was no opposition. The one that would get the majority would have all the seats. So that we were a commune in those days, and even though I think the first time I'd been introduced, and at least here on the French side, an opposition was in 1983. I got elected in 1983. I ran for election again in 83. Of course, we lost in 77. Didn't get a seat. 83, that's, I think, the first time they introduced that opposition notion. And so we got elected in opposition with Dr. Petit. But at no time, actually, I stayed there from 83, 89, elected again in opposition. 1992, I resigned. Why? Because even 83, 89, all those years, I was building my business. So I didn't have any time really for politics. Thank God in those days, even elected, you were not paid. So my conscience was clear that I'm getting paid and I'm not present. But I was following from far. So I would say when I really got interested in politics is when we were about to go into our new status. There was a referendum in 2003 as to yes or no we would wanted to go, and we would like to go in Article 74. And of course, the yes got it, prevailed. and that was in 2003. So in 2007, that's when we got the first election. And that's when, in 2006, actually, when I saw it coming, I told myself that, it would be a good idea that we all come together, opposition, people, that whoever ran for office back then as a commune, going into this new thing, why not let's, unite our forces, at least for the first 5 years, run it together, and from there we can again, go at each other. And it has worked to a certain extent. I managed with 2 friends to bring everybody together.
Which party did you run with, by the way?
I didn't run. I helped put it together with 2 friends, which I don't know if you remember. There was something headed by Mr. Alan Richardson. Yes. It was called the Triple R, Rassemblement Réussite Responsabilité. And that name was given to the party at the time by Mr. Arnel René, who was part of our coming together. And that group of people ran for office and went into opposition. The first run, they lost. But I went into that for the first time, too. We had an advisory council. Our new status give us right to that. And instead of running with that group, I went to sit in the advisory council for 5 years. So it's only in 2012 that I really, I could say, got involved heavily in politics. Because at that time, I was, my kids were big. I got 3 kids that I was raising, and I was taking care of my businesses that was growing. So in 2012, I was retired from that business and had all the time to go into politics. So in 2012, I started. And then in 2017, I headed my own party called Hope Party, of which I'm still the president today. And Hope Party is now ready to contest the upcoming elections. So that's how it went.
That's how the journey was. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I found it interesting, that, while you were definitely politically affiliated early on, in a sense, you didn't necessarily rush the process.
At all.
Yeah.
At all. I always told myself that, and I still feel so up to today, if one wants to have a major role in politics and you're building a business, you can't mix both. Yeah. You can be busy taking care of the people's business and then go in a business. You have to choose.
Yeah.
And mostly when you got a family, your children are small, they need to go to school, you need to feed them, it's not going to work. And a lot of people realize that is the case. So in 2012, I felt ready that, now you can...
It makes sense because any serious leadership role requires a lot of sacrifice.
Absolutely.
And a common thing in many children of politicians would say is, you really kind of saw what is your father, your mother, you give your attention to the people so much, sometimes home is neglected. So that's some wise advice, basically.
Absolutely.
Definitely. So, so one of the things that come to mind is, of course, the whole notion of Article 74.
Yeah.
And the transitioning from a commune to collectivity. What was your stance on Article 74? And in your view, what difficulties are there in maximizing this status?
Okay. Let's look at it this way. And you can really compare our status, which is us being now in Article 74, with what happened on this side of the island with 10-10-10. I don't see any difference because you all, when I say you all, the southern side were more in a position to be ready for 10-10-10. I'm saying in a position. That doesn't mean to say we were ready.
Yeah, correct.
But why? Because being part of the Netherlands Antilles, which were all those islands were already in a form of autonomy, whereas we being in a commune status, we were far from being ready for autonomy. So I knew back then, when even for the referendum, that we were not ready, but I was not sure that opportunity would be given to us again in the future. meaning, hey, are you ready for autonomy? Do you want autonomy? And I was for it, and still today, and I'll go into it now, why it's a good thing. So I said yes. I was for the yes, and I'm still for the yes. And so my choice back then of the yes for Article 74, and today I even feel stronger about the yes. The problem we have on the French side is that, yes, we were not ready back then, but 14 years after, should we be saying still that we're not ready?
Yeah, because you should have at least learned something. Yeah.
Of course. Mm-hmm. Now, the mistake that happened, and that is still happening to a certain degree, is that, and I'll take as an example what happened in Sinbad. Sinbad were the same thing like us. They've been getting ready because why? Because they were telling themselves, we may not have those high-level civil servants that are needed to be in Article 74. However, we're going to bring in people from France or Guadeloupe, Martinique, wherever, and train our people for about 3-4 years. That after the 4th year, we can thank those persons that we brought in and put in our people. And they have done that. Sinbad's today, 14 years after, you go to Sinbad's, you will not find any Frenchman at the top level position over the Sinbad's people. It will be somebody from Sinbad's. We should have been there now, 14 years after. But we haven't done that, you see. So up to today, and that was one of, we had a strike that went on for almost 3 months, some 2 months and a half on the French side. And it was about that.
Yeah, the appointment of the...
About this person, highly placed from France, that was bringing in her people and positions that are a little lower that St. Martin persons can occupy. And so that is still going on up to today. Even that person herself, the DGS, which is the highly placed civil servant, the highest of the chain, she's just after the president.
And just a little clarity for those who may not know DGS. What
is it? Let's call it the general director of all services.
Okay.
So that person is the top of the chain of civil servants. They control all the services. They're over everything. They have to make sure, their job is to make sure that everything works perfectly. So, of course, under that person, you got other general directors at each level of the portfolios. So let's say you got a VOMI, so you got a director there, but that director is under that general director.
Gotcha.
Economy, same thing. Fiscal, like that. So, but that person is the most important civil servant in the collectivity. So up to today, we don't have a St. Martin that is in charge, that is in that position. And we do have...
And never had and did you ever have one?
No, for the past 14 years, no. And I know at least 2 of them that can hold that position. But yet, they're just there on the sideline. So those are the mistakes, I'm calling them mistakes, that we have made. And that people are still saying, up to today, Article 74 not working, it's not good, we shouldn't have gone there. But my argument is that, you take a baby, you learn him or her to walk, start to walk, grow up as an adult, gone in that person's own apartment, live, and then for that person to say that they're going back to be under their parents, and that's what happened to us. Now we are on our own. We really got fiscal autonomy, meaning that we can vote whatever tax law on the French side. The tax laws that are implemented in France have nothing to do with ours. We are on our own. We are the one that deciding today how we're going to create revenue. And we can tomorrow morning create a new tax law or cancel one. We have that power today. We have the power for energy. Tourism is ours, and the domain land that used to be the state since Article 74, that's also under our control. So there are many things that we had no control over before 2007, and that today we do. However, though, the problem is, in some cases, we did not bring in or train the right people to run these things.
So
And so some of those services are seeming not to work because we just don't have the people to run them. I think it's getting a little better. But Article 74, really, to me, it's a very, very good thing because it trains you to become independent. That someday, once you reach to a level where your budget is well balanced, you're having an excess like Sinbad's. We, almost every year on the French side, we are having a loss. Sinbad's is having an excess. And then Article 74. And France knows that if tomorrow morning Sinbad's want to decide, okay, we need a referendum to say that we want to go independent, they will allow them to have that referendum because our organic law for both islands allows that to happen.
Okay.
I'm sure that the yes will go, and because they're ready. Right now, the way Sinbad is, their situation, they can tell France, okay, we want to go past Article 74. Now we want our independence. It's a tiny island, but they actually send back money to France now.
Interesting.
Yeah, after Irma, France seemed like on a northern side. We were in desperate need of help funds and so, but Sinbad said, no, thank you. We okay. We don't need your money. You see, that's a big difference. Yet then Article 74, because they have been preparing themselves for a long time, and even after 2017, being into Article 74, they did the right thing. They have trained their people. They are actually running their collectivity themselves. You see, of course, you'll always need outside interference, outside help, but controlled by you. You see, not they controlling you.
Yeah, that's a very profound statement you share there because as you were typing, I was here looking. The country that came to mind was Monaco.
Yeah,
very small country, also independent, tourist base and whatnot. That you could say is being run successfully, and so Sinbad's came to mind as far as paying both of them. But I'm wondering then, considering one, we have, let's say, greater resources in terms of size, maybe the diversity we have, just as well as the bordering, our side of the island, the southern side of the island, where you have extra resources and so forth. You ask yourself then, why is St. Martin not as advanced as it should be? And so my question to you is, and then, what is needed to help take us further socially and economically?
Well, I think we have a lack of will when it comes to cooperation between both sides. I don't know why. Because I try to ask myself why all the time that we don't see real cooperation between the southern side and the northern side. And I have seen different governments from both sides, being in control of things, and yet I don't see that progress or that move that would take us into that direction. And of course, I know when it comes to the European funding, we are in two different European status. On one side you have OCT, and now it's called Outermost Region. I think before it was UPT, but we on another side we are OR. And the funds that go to an OR region and goes to the OCT, they don't mix them, except for one particular project where exceptionally they were going to do it, the European nations. And that project where they had this...
was it a sewage?
Yes, and they were thinking once of having it in the middle of the lagoon or whatever, somewhere in the lagoon.
Yeah.
But anyhow, that was well on its way. And for whatever political reasons, we're not seeing that happening anymore. But that was something exceptional for the first time. I think maybe it was on an experimental basis that they were going to mix those two, that they don't happen.
It set a precedent in a sense.
But something that really, really needs to be put in place quickly is, I think, Mr. Gibbs and President Gibbs and I think some prime minister over here, I don't know if the current one is thinking about it, they were calling it a Congress.
Congress, yeah.
whatever name we're going to give that assembly, right? I think it's a brilliant idea. That's where together we will decide on common projects, on common things, common problems, reflect on them, find solutions together. And I don't see what is preventing that from happening, but it seems to be lagging. I know the prefect had a meeting with Prime Minister a few months ago, and unfortunately, Mr. Gibbs was not in that meeting to discuss other things. But among those things was this idea of a Congress. And but for us now, I think on a northern side, I would speak for the majority of us. We think if we're going to do something like that, the prefect should not be involved, not the governor. It's about both local governments at their levels, within their competencies, that coming together so we can take decisions without Holland or France having to come in and tell us we can't do it this way or we can't do it that way. And that's what's missing.
Well, my question to that is, do you think France will allow that? Because at least, we have more autonomy with that concern as far as international, as far as foreign relations.
But still limited.
Yeah, but still limited. That's still limited. Yeah, but I think, but we're able to do it without the Dutch state present, depending on what it is, I think.
Depending. I'll give an example where you all can't do anything is, for instance, the problem we're having at Oyster Pond.
Yeah, of course.
You see?
Yeah.
Holland is the one there. And whereas to me, that is something that unfortunately we can't do it, but we local government should be able, and that would be settled long time ago, believe me. Yeah. But, so that's
I think that's the dilemma we're in. It's what is our vision for ourselves? Do we see ourselves remaining this divide where, okay, we can say culturally, even economically, we share these similarities, we appreciate, we love them, but do we go a step further to say that, it is time, or at least to start working towards a plan of creating a one St. Martin state?
Oh, we should be heading towards that, and I think that I heard a few politicians over here in the past, some that I know well, not calling their names, but they said publicly a few times, some persons that I'm fond of, I'm friends with them. And when I heard them say that, I said, yes, that's what we should be doing. At least thinking about it, about somewhere in the future, way in the future, coming back to be one St. Martin, because don't forget, originally it was one St. Martin.
Correct.
And we live, that's why the St. Martin Day is there. Unfortunately, now it's only for a day, in November 11th, that happens. And it did happen on September 16, 2020. I guess you remember when the frontiers were, and then we all came together for that one day.
Yes.
That feeling came back, again, proving that, yes, we are one people. Yes, that's where we should be. We should be working on that. But before we reach to that, we have to start working on things simple as garbage, right? Garbage treatment. Electricity is very high on this side of the island. It costs much less on the northern side. Water costs much more on the northern side than on the southern side. I remember quite a few years back, Mr. Theo Heiliger, being in government, proposed to us on the French side. He said, why you guys don't sell us electricity and we sell you water? Wonderful proposal. No one ever followed up on that. But there was a time, and not long ago, late 60s, early 70s, I remember, that we had our electrical lines connected. And when GB would go down, EDF would supply that side with electricity.
I never heard of that.
Oh, yes. But right, if you look by the frontiers now, Cold Bay, you'll still see, okay, they're not connected, but you can see the old connection that it's still there. So you can see that used to happen. That used to be. As it is today, when it comes to the water, if you go Oyster Pond, you'll realize that the pipes are connected for water, that one side can supply the other. If we need water, we got a problem, GB can supply us, vice versa. That is there. So it's something that can happen, but you need a political will.
Yeah. So it's like you have all the raw materials. You have
everything
the
is there.
infrastructure.
even
leadership.
for the plans for our roads. I mean, whatever we are competent for, because today there's many things we can do that we don't need to consult friends on. I'm talking about the northern side because of our new status.
Mhm.
But a lot of them, for instance, we haven't touched yet. Energy, that's been given to us since 2007. We haven't touched energy yet. And we should be talking about renewable energies. Both sides should be having a plan for that together,
Indeed.
jointly.
Indeed.
No one is talking about that yet. So I'm just saying that Congress, that assembly is, I would say, really, really needed. We really have to put that in place as soon as possible so we can address some of these things that we can really go into jointly projects.
Okay. So considering your years in business as well, what do you think is or how do you look at the future of St. Martin's economy, you know, whether it is different industries, the ways that we can diversify? Because in particular, you know, right now I've been following different conversations on social media or even some radio programs. You know, you of course hear a lot about locals in particular, but people are just not necessarily getting enough jobs on the French side and so forth. So what do you think can be done, you know, to create that turnaround?
Okay, well, on this side of the island, the southern side, you all are in a much better position to benefit from what is our main industry, tourism. And we get, let's call it the spillover, because since we're one island, so we do get the spillover. So I would more say that on the French side is where we have the possibility of going into complementary industries. For instance, as we see in Central America, renowned companies setting up their headquarters here. Assembly, I can say anything. You take, for instance, computer companies that in Costa Rica set up their computers there. The raw material would come in, and you can set them up. That creates jobs. We also on the northern side, we have a great possibility to develop agriculture in a modern way. You know, not necessarily in a traditional way, but there are modern ways that we see all over the world today. It's even actually right there next door. Anguilla is producing a lot of I would say vegetables and stuff like that based on this modern way of doing things. So we can do that. There are different things that we can do together, as a matter of fact, to make sure that we saw it happen for COVID, Irma, that happened for a shorter time, that God forbid one day ships cannot come in here, or for some reason we've seen it today, and there is a shortage of delivery of containers. We even in the USA we saw the shelves of supermarkets. I saw it at Superior the other day. You went there, the shelves were empty.
Pretty empty.
We need to start reflecting on things like that. See how together we can start going into this modern way of doing agriculture.
Okay. So on that note, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back.
It's flowing good so far.
Yeah, I'm going to have to bring you back again. I couldn't see that. But that's okay. This would be just the introductory conversation.
Yeah. Actually, the introduction of myself, I waiver a lot of things because it would make it real long.
Yeah,
because I didn't talk of my career, because I work over here most of my life. My business career really, I would say, took off when I opened business over here. Mm-hmm. I owe much. I had a music store, Scorpio Music Store. You never hear that name? Where you used to live first? You You were raised up here?
Yeah. But
You went away for a while.
for context, I'm 26 years old.
Yeah, but doesn't matter.
No, but I'm
Okay. Oh yeah. Hold on. You only 26?
Yeah.
Ah, yeah. Well, that's still being closed 18 years ago. So, so you were 8 years. Now I understand. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for.
People
But
think, yeah.
no. Maybe the beard. I got you more like 30 something.
Yeah, no, people always think so. And I don't mind it, because, also, I'm always, I
Yeah.
used to be around older people, you understand?
Okay.
So,
Okay.
some people know a lot of things still.
Yeah, well, even I would say the wisdom for that age bracket there, you got it. I talk the 26 plus or 30 plus. Yeah, you wouldn't know then. Yeah, I had a music store for 27 years. I started in 1976, as I told you. But people know me as Jules over here and as Scorpio. Actually, they call me Scorpio. Some of them, when they say Jules Charville, they don't know. I say, the guy for Scorpio, boom, it rings a bell, Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I forgot to press record. Okay. Yes, now we record it again. So we just got like half an hour more.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to the news behind the news with Ralph Cantava on Mix 94.7 FM. And this afternoon, I'm joined with Mr. Jules Charville, or as some of you may know, as he let me know, Jules or Scorpio, right?
Scorpio, yeah. On the southern side, still people call me Scorpio because of, that music store back then, Scorpio Music Store.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so people call me Scorpio, not knowing when they would hear Jules Charville, not knowing who it is really.
Here it is. Cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's something that is common with us. There are some people that we know them by their nicknames. And when you hear their real name, you're like, who's that? Until you realize that.
True.
Yeah, it's true. So something that came to mind is the fact that, oftentimes you hear about the socialism of France and, to the extent that it could be maybe too much aid for persons.
Mm-hmm.
So as far as creating a sort of dependency on the state.
Correct.
What is your take on that, and how can we balance, ensuring that your people are taken care of, but at the same time that they're being propelled to also be self-sufficient?
Yeah. The word you use is the word that we have to keep in mind, balance. Balance. How do we do that? Because people are abusing the system, and that's where now I have a problem. I don't like the fact that because of the social system on the French side, you got people that actually make it a business. They in the case of some women, they keep making children because for each child they know how much they're going to receive. Mostly there's something called femme seule, which means to say a woman alone.
Mm-hmm.
But yet she's making these amount of children every year, year after year, and she gets this amount of money. And people would come here and then would tell their cousin, brother, whatever, hey, you need to come because, hey, it's good here. You get free money. And so a lot of people make it a business. Some people would come, work over here, and still get money, RSA, from the French side. So, yes, it's a system that when it is not well, I would say, controlled, that encourage, I would say, laziness, that some people would feel that it's better not to work than go look for a job where they're getting less money. So that system really needs to be revised. I think in our case, the RSA, I should say, is the one where the local government is really involved. It, almost, I would say, 95% of which is something like 14 million euros per year is our taxpayers' money from the French side, not France. France gives something like, I think, 600,000 out of the 14 million, which is, just a little bit.
Yeah.
So the money comes from the Saint Martin people. And that's why now I think it came from Aline Henson administration. They hired inspectors, controllers, because it was going real crazy where people would be in Santo Domingo and receiving RSA.
Wow.
And people working over here, living over here on the southern side and receiving RSA. So since they implement that, some of them, most of them being caught. I don't know if they're being penalized, but for sure they're not getting that money anymore because we were up to 18 million per year, up to, I would say, 3-4 years ago. 18 million every year coming strictly from St. Martin that you had to find that money. So, yes, it is it is a system, of course, for who really needs it. Yes, but those that come here specifically to abuse the system, and there's too much of that, besides those who stay abroad and get the money, but they got those who come, as I said, and just don't work and feel that they don't need to work because they have this money coming. And that there has to be looked at. And if we have to get more inspectors to look into those situations, then so be it. But it needs more control.
And that is something that is under the responsibility of the collectivity.
Just the RSA, yeah.
Okay.
The CAF that you hear about a lot, that is strictly the state.
Okay.
The FAMSEL, money like for the women that make children and don't have, not married, not living with a man.
Single mothers, basically.
Single mother. There are funds for that, but those things come from the state.
Okay.
Yeah, that's something they invented. By the way, even the RSA, that is something that we should be fighting for them to take back, because we inherit that. We, local government on the northern side, has inherited the RSA because of Article 74. So when we went into Article 74, we remained stuck with it because and at that time in 2007, remember we were a commune before, a few months before that. And then when you went into Article 74, we became a department in a region and a commune. So we 3 in 1. And when you become a department, you are responsible for RSA. So the state say, hey, guys, you're now a department. It's your business. That was wrong. We saw Guyana and I think Mayotte, yes. Lately, told France, sorry, you need to take that back. It is your creation, and France took it back. We had an opportunity to do it, we on the French side. This president, current president, Daniel Gibbs, he, for whatever reason, he said, no, what we're going to do, we're going to create this system where we're going to create something like a credit card so they won't get cash from the RSA. It will go on the card so the money stays on the island, not being able to be spent on the Dutch side, just within the French side. And we will be an example for the French state, so maybe they will see something like that works. I mean, that kind of thinking. And he would not do like Guyana and Mayotte, just say to the state, take back this thing. It's a burden on us. And that didn't happen. But that needs to happen. France needs to take back that RSA. They invented it. We shouldn't have to be straining with that. 14 million euro per year, is a lot of money, and we can do a lot more with that.
Yeah, because as you said in the beginning, I realized that means to say that we generate money, but the issue is really of allocation.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. So mostly knowing the abuse that is out there.
Yeah,
you know.
And what comes to mind too, as you know, on top of Article 74. So I'm curious about your take on the running of the collectivity and how can it be improved, and what would you say are the main bottlenecks that we need to get over?
Okay, I touched on it earlier. I think that we, first of all, in order for it to work, you cannot bring in people that are formatted to work in Article 73 or 72 and have them work 74. In other words, 74 means definitely autonomy. But if you bring in people to work for you who don't want you to have autonomy, or who are trained not to have you or not to lead you in that direction. I'm going to explain something. A lot of those people that are coming, and some of them are coming, they came from France, but they work for the state and the prefecture before coming to the Collectivite. And those persons, actually, they are formatted for us not to be successful. I will say it like that, in 74. There's a reason for that. Guadeloupe, Martinique, Guyana, they're looking at us because they had an opportunity to go into 74. They said no. But they're saying to themselves, let's see how it's working for them, meaning St. Martin. And then if it's failing, or it looks like it's failing, it's not working, then of course they won't be encouraged. So to me, there's a will. I should say there was, because now things seem to be changing for whatever reason. But there was a time where I myself was thinking, there's a plan for this thing not to work. Certain things that I noticed. So, and the mistake that I see this administration, the current administration, making is bringing in people who they're not for Article 74, yet you're bringing them to run in some key position to run 74. It's not going to work. So we have that. We are faced with that problem. And the other problem is that there are certain articles in the organic law that we haven't touched yet. In order for Article 74 to work, there are some key articles that you have to apply. I'll give you an example, not to say I'm just talking, a precise example. There's a particular article in the organic law that says the following, that we, on the French side, we need to create a committee that is composed of elected persons from the Executive Council and people from the state, equal amount. That committee would evaluate the needs of the French side when it comes to infrastructures in order to catch up with, say, France. In other words, better roads, maybe new schools or, infrastructures. We haven't created that in 14 years. The President of the Republic of France came here twice after Irma, twice. And in one of those things he did say, he reminded us, hey, what about that commission, that committee? What he meant to say, guys, this is the committee that is going to evaluate your needs. And based on that, we'll have to give you the money for you to catch up. What we are seeing on the French side, for instance, if you look at the situation after 4 years, the amount of public buildings not rebuilt, etc., that's where this committee would have come in. Yet, it hasn't been created 14 years after. Some examples like that, I'm saying. And how would we say after it's not working? But we're not using the tools that were given to us. At least some of them are the most important of them.
So maximizing what is in your hand.
Exactly.
I see.
Exactly.
Okay. So I'm curious, of course, next year will be the next elections in March, correct?
March, I think the 27th or the 28th. Yeah, the date was not officially set definitely.
Okay.
For now, there are tentative dates. As I guess soon we'll know, next coming weeks, I think.
Okay.
But it's somewhere between the 28th of March and the 27th.
Okay. But with elections coming, what would be the focus of your campaign, your platform for your party? But also, thinking of what you shared earlier, the opportunity you afforded as a young person. How have you reached out to younger persons as well to be part of your party and have that sort of dynamic in your platform?
Okay. The name of our party is Hope Party. The name speaks for itself. It's to give the people hope. And we, from an early stage, back in 2015, the party was created in 2015, we have based our party on the future, meaning bringing a lot of young people. We know that on the French side, there's a vacuum. I would say, a generation gap when it comes to politics. I'm happy to see on the southern side that's not the case. Today we have a lot of young ministers. We are missing that on a French side. The young people, for whatever reason, they hesitated, and some of them still are today, to go into politics. So we have that generation gap. Hope Party wants to remedy that. In 2017, our list was composed of mainly young people. Young people mean to say 25, 26, 30-something. That's what we saw back then, and that's what the people are going to see again this time even more. My conception is that actually I'm still involved in politics. You heard from what age I came in. That's a long time ago. Mm-hmm. My motivation is exactly to lead those young people so that in the next 5 years, that generation would take over and take the lead and run this country. So that's what's needed now. But you need also to choose the right people with the right attitude. You know, you don't want, even though they're young, people just attracted to the money, to the power, to the prestige. Yeah. You want young people, but who understand that once elected, you have to work. You have to put country above everything. And it's not easy to find them like that, but I'm finding them. I have found quite a bit, and that's what you'll see. Now, at the same time, too, you need to bring the country up to speed as far as when it comes to electronics. You come to this computer generation, the internet generation. It's a shame that up to this day, nothing in the Collectivite is computerized. I mean to say, with online services, when we have a company, a private company on the French side based there, and they're I would say they're having more contracts with the government over here because they are into that than on the French side. Actually, they don't have any call, any requests from local government to put the government into the government building, the services into that kind of standard. So that needs to be addressed. And of course, the younger generation, that's how they think. And today you take a little child of 5 years is already in his or her phone and doing things, and we are there today. So it is not normal that government is not considering going into that. You know, for instance, when you talk about garbage collection, I talked earlier about agriculture, and I talk about a modern way of doing that. Well, it is the younger generation. It is their business. That's what they're into. Those are the ones that are going to take us into that era. So that's how whole party is set up, and that's our vision.
Okay, and so considering that as well, what would you say makes your leadership and your party stand out from the others in the ring?
Okay, it's very simple. I talk about the year 2012. Let's take that as a landmark, 2012 to today. So we're talking about 9 years now. For the past 9 years, I have decided, once elected in 2012 for the first time, that now that, and I said it, that I'm ready to get deeply involved in politics. I want to be transparent, no matter elected in government, not in government. I want the people to be informed. I want the people to understand the procedures, the institutions, the laws, and that's what I've been doing nonstop, consistently for 9 years. We, in 2014, so the past 7 years, we created a radio program called You Need to Know, that is aired every Thursday at 5 o'clock for the past 7 years. And just as the name states, you need to know, the people need to know, as we bring the information. And so in the council, for instance, council meetings, Very few, unfortunately, and not only for this mandate, we saw it with the other one, the previous one, for the past 3 mandates, where the councillors are just quiet. They just put up their hand for a vote. I'm not the only one, but I would say I'm among those who are very vocal, who would oppose and who would say why, who would propose. So that's what makes whole party leader stand out. And that's why today, when people look back, that's what they would say. Hey, but, your leader being that person that was always bringing the information forward for the past 9 years. So that's what it is, it's just a fact. That's what's been happening for the past 9 years. It's not that you did it just for a short time. It was consistent and still is consistent. Actually, right now, lately, there's a sister program, radio program that's being created called The Sound of Hope that is aired on every Tuesday at 7 p.m. So we have 2 programs, one called The Sound of Hope, the other one called You Need to Know, with the same spirit of inform the people, but now with The Sound of Hope is also proposing, letting the people know what hope will do in certain situations, introducing those younger persons that maybe are going to appear on the scene, on the political scene for the first time, giving them an opportunity to present themselves. That's the kind of work we are doing.
Okay. So the next thing that comes to mind is, usually, well, we are aware, I would say, many people are aware, of the electoral system at the French side where you have a runoff system. But can you break it down a bit further as to how the electoral system works as far as your parties? Do you have a limit on the number of people who can be on your list and so forth?
Yeah. We have a system where it is required 26 person on your list. You can't go less. Over here, you have a maximum. You can go less.
Yeah.
There in our system, you have to have 26.
Wow.
If you ain't got 26, you can't run. All right. So your list is 26. But the council itself is 23. So not those three. Sorry. Let me rephrase that. You got maybe, let's say, 5-6 parties running. So the day of the election, in the evening, you got maybe 3 that got the most votes. There's a quota also that would allow you to go back or not. If you get under a certain amount, based on the amount of voters, there's a percentage that you need to get in order to be able to run again. So if your list that did not get that percentage, then you're out of the race. But that doesn't prevent you from making an alliance with another party. And that's where you can run again. But then you have to create some new name with that party to strengthen, that's
your base.
Yeah. And so now the second Sunday, so it happens the following Sunday. The race is between, of course, those that came out with the right percentage. Some of them can join. If, let's say, one party is a major party and the 2 others are opposition, they can decide to join to go against that party. So you'd have 2 parties running, or you could have 3. And then how the seats when that evening, the results now, the one that got the most votes is the winner. And that winner gets automatically a fixed amount of seats. And then the balance of the seats for that winner goes by a certain quota. But the law is set up in a way to guarantee the winner a comfortable majority. So that's why we don't have the headache of all the work to have to worry, I would say, about government falling that easily. It can happen, but you get a comfortable majority. Like currently, the majority that is in place, Mr. Gibbs, he has a majority of 18 and it's 23. So you now have 5 opposition. You need to work real hard to get maybe convince. I think you need 12 persons. So 5 plus 7 would give you 12. So you got to convince 7 of his people to come and join you in order to top him. That is most unlikely. And so you guaranteed at least a minimum of 15 seats once you win. Even if you win by one vote more, you guaranteed a majority that you'll be comfortable with. You don't have to worry about another party trying to topple you and put a vote of no confidence. And so we saw, in 14 years, we saw the attempt happen once.
When was that?
That was in 2014, where we had the election for senator. It was the Arlene Henson administration, and some of her own people went against her candidate as senator. Now, for senator, it is the councillors, the senator, him or herself, and the deputy. So it is 25 persons that vote for senator. But the party in power normally should have one candidate. That party ended up with 3 candidates.
Oh, wow.
So they were split it up. And after that election, there was an attempt to put a vote of non-confidence in Mrs. Henson. And of course, me being at the time an independent, I was approached with the idea. You know, they explained me the idea and everything. And because I didn't play along, that saved her, because they had 11 plus me would be the 12, and she would be history as president. So I said something, and they just pulled back. But that was the closest we got to see a president for the Friends. So it can happen.
Yeah.
Even though there's a large majority, right now today, as it is now we are down to the end of this mandate, has 3 more months to go.
Yeah.
But for what I know today, if there's a move right now for a vote of non-confidence in this president, Mr. Gibbs, he would be in trouble right there today. For what I know, seeing those persons that are not with him anymore.
Oh, yeah, he had persons that defected from his party.
Of course, a lot. Okay. A lot. I think we have the 12 or more right now. But, why would... I don't know who would be thinking it. I'm just saying that the situation is there for it to happen. Now, would it make sense to try to do that? And he only has 3 months. Yeah, you see? Yeah. But I know that he's finishing his mandate in a weak position. Yeah.
Okay. And so also with the electing a senator that is represented in France, that takes place in the same election?
Yes, senator election is for the entire, all French territories. It happened at the same time.
Gotcha.
What would happen, though, is that sometimes, just like in the States, you would have partial election. It could happen in certain zones. Is maybe half of the Senate need to be renewed. And, and then the next time, the next half or something. That happens sometimes.
The midterm elections, basically.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then those persons who, like, for example, I forgot the name of the gentleman who was once a senator, but basically they would be associated to a party in France or like with a local party as well?
Yeah. In order for you, once elected senator or deputy, which is what we call MP, Member of Parliament, we don't have a parliament on the French side, so they go to France.
Yeah.
Whether it is the MP or the senator, you have to choose at the national level which party you're going to choose in order to sit in the Senate or the Parliament. You have to choose. But there are, besides the well-known parties, which is socialists, communists, Republicans, extreme right, there are some intermediate parties, some of them center, some of them middle right or whatever. So you can choose, and then that's you're going to be the group that you choose that you're going to sit with. But you have to choose. And because of that, as a matter of fact, before 2007, on the French side, national politics was not St. Martin's people problem. I can say that because, as I said, I'm involved for a long time, since 76. So I knew back then that was not a problem to us. But because of this new setting that we are electing now deputy and senator locally. We used to elect a deputy for Guadeloupe. Senator, no, is the the collectivities or communes that elect senators, but deputy, we used to elect one from Guadeloupe that would represent us. Today we have our own deputy, so we have to choose. We have to now think at the national level. Is it going to be Republican? Is it going to be... That never existed before.
Mm-hmm. Dynamics change.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's definitely more I would like to ask you, but in the interest of time, I just have one more question for you.
Yes, go ahead.
That comes from a letter that I saw that you wrote in a paper relating to, I think it was on St. Martin Week, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
Basically relating to, the past unrest that we've seen on the island and so forth. And so my question is, when you looking back at, all the different protests and so forth, what do you think is necessary to achieve the solution to quell, the situation we've seen so far?
Okay. What do you think has calmed it? You think it just calmed like that? You see that we gone back to calm. They're even paving the road in Sanigong now because every time there's a protest, when they burn the cars and so it damages the asphalt. Now, if you go to Sanigong now, you have brand new roads in Sanigong. It's because I think they have a sentiment that, okay, things have slowed down. We found a solution. Well, you just needed, when I say you, state government, local government needed to sit down with delegations because there are different groups in Sanigong. This is just not one group. They're talking about the collective. Yes, there's a collective. But there are some other little groups where you find mostly those youngsters. The state needed to sit down with them, listen to them, hear them out, and see how, they can maybe meet in the middle somewhere. And I think that began to happen. It's still ongoing, but I think that at least they get the governments to listen. And I know there was a meeting last week, Wednesday. That's the latest one that happened in the prefecture, going into that direction. You of course, you got the strength of the army and this and that, but you don't want to be in a situation of war,
of
civil war.
Yes, yep.
So the state knows that, everybody knows that. So the best thing is to sit down and discuss around a table and see how we can come up with solutions. And that's what is taking place now. It has taken place before, but as I said, there are different groups, and there are certain groups that were not heard.
I understand.
And today they're listening. They're giving them their ears, and I think that is all beneficial to the country.
Target the contentions of the community.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Mr. Charville, I really appreciate you coming on the program. Definitely won't be the last time.
Thank you for the invitation. I took a pleasure in being here, and I'm looking forward to coming back some other time.
All right, great. So to the listeners and viewers, that was Mr. Jules Charville, Territorial Councillor on the northern side of St. Martin, and do take care and tune in for our next program tomorrow. Goodbye. 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 Goodbye.